Check one, two, three. I got new earbuds. You hear me, Jesse?
Good morning, everybody. Today's topic is live on YouTube, so if you guys don't want your video on, you can turn that off. And if you guys are new to the group, feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and I will answer them along the way, or you can, if you want to raise your hand, then you can ask your question in person. So today's conversation is about how would you spend 1K on your business? And I'll start with how I would spend 1K. I would just put it in my savings account. So yesterday, and I would start with zero. I wouldn't use any of it. Yesterday, I put together some numbers for, I don't know if Isaiah is here. I'm going to ask him if Isaiah had asked me, what's the difference between how I did eBay the second time, starting with no money versus with money. And I'll tell you, when I did it the second time, I didn't use any of my own money. That was the main difference. So if you reinvest the money from the profit and you don't put any of your own money in, there's a big difference. So I want to give you guys an example. There was a lady that I was watching yesterday on Netflix. There's a new series called Street Food. And there's two restaurants I thought were really cool. One gentleman, he has a food cart. It's called Ruthie's. It's all his grandma's recipes. It's amazing, like amazing food. People come from all over the world to eat there. And he said he's never been more broke in his entire life. Every single penny he spends goes towards his food truck, and it doesn't make any money. So I know exactly why. And I want to compare this to another lady who makes vegan pork belly. She makes two or three things. Vegan pork belly. She makes a vegan pork belly banh mi, and then a vegan pork belly bao, which is like a Chinese sandwich essentially. But it's really just the same thing. It's vegan pork belly on its own, one in bread and one in a baguette. Those are the three different things she offers, and she is wildly profitable. So her versus the guy that makes his grandma's recipes. The grandma's recipe guy spent, I think, 100 grand plus of his own money starting this food truck business. I'll give you the alternative. The lady that was doing the vegan pork belly, she was a hairstylist. Okay, so her daughter said, why don't you try Instagram Live with your recipe and see if people like it first? So she goes on Instagram Live, posts the recipe. She doesn't have any money. Like a bunch of people order it. So she's like, okay, cool. I've got the money. Can you guys please be patient? I'm going to make it and I'll deliver it to you tomorrow. She puts pickup or delivery Portland, right? So she starts doing that, makes some money from that, uses that money. The next week she goes on Instagram Live. She has more available. She keeps doing that, saving her money over time, opens a small stand, does the same thing. Now she has a brick and mortar where she sells these things, essentially just the same items over and over again. She makes a killing. The line is like down the block and she only serves three things. The same thing with the guy that put all of his money into his grandma's recipes. The issue is there's too many items on the menu. There's a huge amount of food waste, and it requires way more employees. The other lady can do it by herself. This guy needs staff because there's just so much overhead with carrying such a big menu. So this is where I wrote this down. I think, let me know what you guys think. I think if you, and those of you on YouTube, let me know if you agree with this or not. Let's say you average all your stuff from garage sales, thrifted, flea markets, garage sales, and your average cost of goods is $4 an item. Can anybody get a $4 an item average sale price? This is just the average. Okay, so I don't know if people have that $4 average sale price, but I'm going to use that as an example. If you mix in personal items, garage sales, thrift stores, etc. Okay, so now you have a $4 cost. If you're using the Nirvana store, right, 100% of your items sell because you don't have any money. So in order to grow your business, you have to figure out how to sell it. So I put in here, all items sell if discounted. Focus on items that sell for over $30. 80% of your time spent on sourcing. Okay, so if you're doing the Nirvana model like I was, most of your time is looking for items. Then you spend 3 to 6 minutes getting them listed. So only about 20% of your time is actual processing. Now, I'm going to give you guys what I think the average seller does. The average seller has 1,000 items in their store, and they only have 50 sales per month. Okay, which is they list between 0 and 20 items a day, and they sell between 0 and 4 items a day. This is most resellers. Sell between 0 and 4 items a day. List between 0 and 20 a day. Some days they list a lot, some days they don't list any. So they have a $20 average sale price, and they average $1 profit an item. And I'll tell you why. The reason why it's only $1 profit versus in a Nirvana store, it's $10 profit, is this. In the Nirvana store, my average sale price was $25. Okay, so a little bit higher. $5 might not seem like a lot, but it's a lot. So $25 versus 20. And if you use your own money, you will buy items that don't sell. That is, if you don't have any money, you'll never make that mistake, because you have to turn the money over in order to make something. So if 50% of your items don't sell, which is on average, that's the normal retail. When you open a brick and mortar, the whole year, half of your items don't sell. And at the end of the year, you're doing crazy clearance and markdowns. And on Black Friday, everything is 90% off to sell the last 50% of your items. So if half of your items don't sell, it doubles your cost of goods. Does that make sense? Hopefully everyone gets that. So you're not really paying $4, you're paying $8 because half of your items don't sell. So the items that actually sell are actually $8. So instead of making $25, you make $20. And instead of paying $4 an item, you pay $8. And if you're buying stuff at the thrift store for $8, you're actually paying $16. So the average person has 1,000 items in their store and makes $50 profit a month total. After all that work, listing all 30 days, because half of the items don't sell, you're basically breaking even. If you sell, 0 to 4 items a day, and you list between 0 and 20 a day. And what this store looks like is minimal shopping, most of the time struggling with the items that you have. So if you go shopping for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours a week and expect to find items that average $30 in the market, that's impossible, especially as a beginner. You should be spending 30 hours out there looking, and then maybe 1 to 2 hours a week listing, if you're really just starting, because you need to figure out what sells, titles, what's doing well. And if you have no money, that's the secret. The secret to this lady as a hairstylist turning her business into a thriving $1 million business, and the guy that copied his grandma's recipes, is he started with 100 grand, she started with 0. That's the difference. He had a job, income, he skipped. Like, if you didn't have any money, there's no way you would have a restaurant with every single one of your grandma's recipes. It's impossible. You would just pick one. How could you even do that? You know how difficult it is to cook something that people want to come back and eat over and over again, like Sally's pie? That's really hard. You can't, that one thing would already take your whole energy. So he said something interesting, which he said, I've never been more broke, but I've never been more happy. He's doing his own thing, right? The thing is, the lady that's making money is also happy. It's weird that like she's doing her thing too. She just only serves one thing on her menu. So I just thought that was pretty striking. She had no money, sold out, used that money to buy twice the, you know how fast that multiplies. It took her like less than 5 years to run $1 million business from nothing. Because if you put out 10 pork bellies and they sell, next time you put out 20 pork bellies, this other guy did the same thing with brisket tacos. Really cool idea. He's like, okay, my food truck, I put an Xbox in there because I'm assuming in the beginning it's going to be slow. So I'll just be patient. Got the Xbox in there, one brisket. It took him a little bit of time to get going, but then one brisket sold, now two briskets sold, now four briskets sold, and now he sells 44 briskets a day. That's awesome. What a cool business. One thing, what's it called? Brisket tacos. One item on the menu. So he's like, it didn't take very long before I had to take the Xbox out. Didn't have enough time to play that anymore. So I just thought that was like, that works, but everybody wants to have everything on their menu. And that's where all the money comes from. If I said, how would you spend $1,000? And you said, I would go spend all of it on inventory, that's a problem, because that will get you into trouble because you'll buy items that can't sell. So think about it when you're buying something. Would you pay twice as much for it? Probably not. And I think that people don't understand broke. When I think of broke, I think of like your paycheck to paycheck maybe, or maybe you have like $0 in your bank account. That's very different than like, there's a lot of people whose broke is like way lower than that. So it's almost like our broke is wealthy for some people. So I just think that mentality of starting with zero is really incredible, because you learn, if this, like the lady took no risks. She put on Instagram Live, this is what I'm making today for my family. I have no money. If you guys want to pay me, then I'll go buy the ingredients and do it. There's nothing, that's like literally zero. Beth, what's up?
The one thing I wanted to say when you talk about everything you said about how much money you're making per item is correct. The one thing that I look at that's super simple, that doesn't require any calculation, is that every single expense goes through my account that's designated for my eBay store.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end of the month, if there's money there after all the, the credit card bill is paid, then while it's not profit, it means that I haven't sunk a dime into my business, and this is how much I have. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, I'm making some profit. Yeah, I can sit down and do the calculation, but for the simple mind, I can see that this month, everything else is a sunk cost. So if I never source another thing and I never have another expense, you know what I'm saying? I don't buy any more poly mailers. I can know that moving forward, everything at the end of the month is pure profit. Moving forward. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like,
well,
I'm
that I can.
It's not correct, but it's short, quick and dirty.
No, it is correct. I can simplify even further. Don't spend any money. Put all the money into your bank account and be resourceful. The tech was saying this. He's very resourceful, right? He got all of his stuff out of the garbage. That's what you do when you wanted to go faster. Devin was talking about this week about wanting to go faster and speed this up. Let's get it going. Be more resourceful. Don't throw money at it. You can't throw money at eBay. It doesn't work. I've already tried that. Every single kind of thing you can throw at eBay to leverage yourself so you can go faster has made it slower for me. The only way to go faster is to be resourceful. When you go to the thrift store, you notice they priced something incorrectly. You take advantage. When you go to the thrift store, you go to the back lot where people have tried on things, and you look through that rack and you find a really nice item that you wouldn't have noticed if you went just through the racks. You ask somebody at a garage sale, do you have anything else in the back? Those are how you make it go faster, not spending more money. You go to the thrift store. I'm sorry, you go to the garage sale. I'm sorry, this is even better. Instead of saying, do you have anything else in the back? Do you say, can I have some of these items for free if I haul it with me? Something like that, to not have to spend any money so that you increase your profit. Beth was saying all your expenses come out of the bottom line. That's true. We're trying to increase the bottom line. I was just thinking, both these people, the person who's doing all their grandma's recipes and the person she's cooking her own recipes, they both do their own thing, right? That's what people really value. So I thought this is really cool. They said that Portland doesn't have regional cuisine. So what Portland has is all these individuals making their own cuisine. It's like the perfect place to be yourself. That's like the sort of this Portland mentality. If you've watched, I've been to Portland several times. It's very weird, but also doesn't feel weird because everyone, that's like how they are. Like there's not really a lot of pretending, because that wouldn't really make any sense in Portland, because everybody's their own thing. So everyone does their own thing. So you already have that. You're doing eBay. You already have your own thing. Now, if you just can pick something that you can do over and over again, instead of spending, I put here, the sellers in this group spend less than 6 minutes an item. So everyone is trying to do 10 items an hour. The average seller does between 6 minutes and 1 hour per item. That's because you don't know anything about it. If it takes you 30 minutes to look it up, then you don't know anything about your item, and it would take a long time. And you're going to be that doing your own thing, but broke. We can all do our own thing and have money. I just think people are kind of thinking those are separate. They're not separate. You can do both. Like if I say, hey, you should focus on a few things, I'm not restricting you. I'm setting you free. When I say I give you $1,000 and you can't spend it, I'm not restricting you, because now you have to sit down and think about where you're going to put your money, and don't buy an item that won't. So what happens if you're, Neil said, broke, like you don't have the money. Okay, like when I think broke, it's people saying, I can't buy another item to resell on eBay. But you still have items in your store. There's money in those items. So we got to get out of this 50% of your items don't sell. I never thought about that until yesterday. I texted Tech. I said, I don't have any videos talking about how half of your inventory doesn't sell if you don't know what you're doing. Because I looked up, yesterday I was looking at the definition of sell-through rate, right? And it says most retail stores use an annual sell-through rate, right? And 0 retail stores, except for grocery stores, sell through things more than one time a year. If you sell retail items, clothing, electronics, all that stuff, they don't sell their inventory once a year. In this group, and because eBay's app has a 90-day total, we use 90 days as that sell-through rate, right? So the let me show you guys the, hopefully I have this. Yeah, here we go. Can you guys see this? It says 17,460 listed, 460 sold. A lady just sent me the screenshot. That is 1% sell-through rate. That's every single item selling in 90 days. That's insane. We're talking about people in like those retail stores can't do that in an entire year. We're out here doing it every 90 days. That's crazy. So looking at this, I'm like, wow, this is so intense. We're turning over our inventory 3-4 times a year if you are broke, because you have to go back. So this is what Neil will do. Instead of spending money on new inventory, he'll go through his old inventory and ask, how come these items aren't selling? So today's podcast, when you guys are tuning in at 2:00, we're going to talk about the fastest way to sell your inventory, but resellers don't like it. So we'll talk about that later today. But that is exactly how there's one way to make your items sell really fast, and most people haven't aggressively done it yet. So okay, Luke says, since starting the day that we, or a year ago, everything has been reinvested, and it's insane how fast it compounds. Yes, it's we've been doing this almost 2 years now. We're almost on episode 100, right? 104 episodes would be 2 years. And we're on like 96 now. So we're a couple of months away from hitting 2 years. My income has doubled every year. So like, if you increase your income like a little bit, it's already insane. And you essentially run out of time. I was looking yesterday at a book called Time Management for Entrepreneurs from Dan Kennedy. And he was talking about his schedule. And it's like 4 to 5 vacations a year. He has a full-time job. Natalie wants to say hi. He has all this time with his family. Hey, she doesn't have any money to reinvest, so she's got to sell her smiles and hugs to get what she wants. Got to be resourceful. She has no money. So
She
Sarah
better,
says,
she better
go
sell
ahead.
those little discs that you have in that cup.
I
Sell them
know,
for
that's
like
true.
50 cents a piece.
Yep. Isaiah, so okay, I'm glad that you're here because when I did the math, you guys want to see it? I'll show you. This is going to be Paul said that he feels attacked. That I know this is like painful. This is like it's so painful, but I want to share it because I was in this boat too. But most resellers aren't earning any money. They're not even breaking even. So I'm sorry, they're breaking even at best. So I'll show you guys this. Let's see. I'll show you the difference between what I think resellers do and the Nirvana store. Okay. Let's see. Actually, I think I know how to do it. Sorry, guys. I should have uploaded this before the call. Okay, this is going to be. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this. I'll share my screen. Okay, can you guys see this? Okay, so the Nirvana store. It took me about 3 months to build this store. Started with nothing. Both stores actually start with nothing. The average seller puts their own money in, and the Nirvana store didn't put any money in. So on average, by the end of the 3 months, I was averaging 17 new listings a day, and I was selling 17 items a day. So I reached Resaw Nirvana probably around actually I had Resaw Nirvana the whole time, but I was around 17 items a day towards the end of it. $25 average sale price, $10 profit each. I have 50 cents in here for admin. Everybody can use that to add in 50 cents for your rent. And it's probably higher than that, but we'll just be consistent. Let's just say that you're doing it at home. Every item is worth $30 or more in the market. So I didn't sell for 30, I sold it for 25, including shipping. Now, again, this says average. So I still picked up items that were cheap, but I also picked up items that were $100 in the same experiment. So all items sell at discounted. I put here in the bottom for the average seller, half of items never sell. So that's doubling your cost of goods. Most of your time is spent processing, and you can change the word processing with struggling too. Because on the top one, I never struggled to list it because it was all the same thing. It's basically all jeans for the first half of the store. And then the bottom, it takes about $6,000, in my opinion, to have enough inventory to make a full-time living, but you have to start with zero. You have to turn zero in the 6,000. If you invest your money in it, doesn't work because you don't learn how to do all these things. So look at how different this is. Look how this is going to slap people in the face. The average person would need 100,000 items in their store to make $5,000 a month. 100,000. I don't even know anybody with 100. Or Mr. Buys a Lot has 100,000 items. I don't know anybody else. Does he? I think he has over 100,000 listed. I don't know any other person that's over 100,000 listed. That's a lot. Yeah, profit first. That's the thing. But this is the number. Like, people ask, how much money do you think it takes to build a full-time living? I think $6,000. So what that looks like is over time you invest it. So this is where I came up with that. If you have 1,500 listings in your store and you sell 500 at $10 profit, that's $5K, right? Now, if your average cost of goods is $4, then 1.5K times $4 is 6,000. That's where I came up with that. So you can't just spend $6,000 on 1,500 items though. That would not work, because half of those items would never sell and the other half would be listed incorrectly. And that's a horrible recipe. And then you're going to end up with $20 instead of $25 an item. And then that doesn't work. Your profit goes from $10 to $1. Look at this bottom example. You're only making $1 profit. And I'm assuming that it's $8 average shipping instead of 7, because when you pick up random stuff, you pick up a couple items that cost $20 or $30 to ship. Like, and you don't think about that. An item that costs $20 or $30 to ship, you pay the final value fee, the promoted listings fee, all of that on there. And this is assuming 2% promoted listings. So you could go higher if you wanted to. And you also don't need promoted listings. When I built the Nirvana store, I didn't use promoted listings
So
because
if
I
you
didn't have any money. Go ahead.
if you can't throw money at like your lack of overall skills when it comes to
Yeah.
like knowledge of eBay and so on and so forth,
Yeah.
how do you know when you are skilled enough in order to like start investing money into the machine?
This is great. Okay. One guy is really, really bad at plumbing, right? Would you buy him a new tool set? I wouldn't, because it's not related.
I'll send him to plumbing college.
That's what I mean. He's got to learn how to do the plumbing. A new set of tools doesn't help you. It doesn't do anything. So like, that's exactly right. You wouldn't throw money if you don't know what you're doing. You would learn how to do it. That's how you would increase it. Eric, what's up?
So I have a comment / question. I've been in this group for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, give or take. And my trajectory is like this. I don't know if you can tell, but it's like this.
Yeah.
I've only had one day while I'm in this group that I had 0 sales.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is to say this. Would you agree that besides apples to apples, everything, the only differentiation fact is that knowledge and consistency. Knowledge in the product and staying consistent listing.
Well,
would you
okay.
agree that that's the only difference?
No, okay, but here's the thing. There's a reason why you can be consistent, because you can't accidentally do it. You can't accidentally pick up a habit. It's got to be very intentional. So of all the processes I have seen in the group, yours is closest to Tech's.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've looked at everyone's process, right? Yours is the closest to it. But in order to, because your photo process is under a minute and listing process is under a minute. So that's really fast. To get to that stage, you have to say no to 90% of how, like, you're saying no to so many extra things. So to be consistent, you have to do few things. That's how you be consistent. If you had to do a different thing, it would be very difficult to be consistent. That's why your results are so unusual. Most resellers just break even, and yours looks like a straight up curve. It's because you're just doing the same thing over and over again. Everybody else is doing something different every time. So the knowledge, here's the thing that's really interesting. People who are everything stores might have more knowledge, but it's spread out. They like know a little bit about this, a little bit about that. They don't know a lot about anything. So that's like, I actually think the everything seller might have more knowledge. It's just not the right knowledge. Or I'm sorry, it's not the right, it's not specific knowledge. It's general knowledge and not specific knowledge. That's why here, are there clothing items you don't sell?
Are you asking me?
Mm-hmm.
From the past, yeah.
I would say you don't resell most clothing.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're in one niche and you still don't sell 99% of it. So like, if you are in any kind of niche and you know which one to pick and which one not to pick, it makes a huge difference. We're talking about like the difference between making $10 an item and $1 an item. That's such a big difference. So now go ahead.
Well, to add to that, the only reason I've made that, I call it a mindset shift, is because I asked Tech one day, man, I'm finishing 6, 7 in the morning. I've got the entire day. I'm just twiddling my thumbs. There's so much room for failure in that amount of time. What do I do? And he told me just research. So within that research, like, my mind was blown at items that I thought had a high sell-through rate didn't, and vice versa, items that I thought that didn't sell through rate fast or had a high sell-through rate were jumping off the shelves. So the reason I say that is because I know sometimes people comment on your videos or these podcasts, and they say, does this apply to me, etc. I think you have such a wide net in a good way that some people have trouble dissecting if the comment is for them or not. And so I think people should just take everything, not with a grain of salt, so to speak, but apply it, take nuggets from everyone and apply it to their business model. And I think that they'll do very well. I don't think there should be any reason anybody's failing right now. Like, there's an abundance of research and data in this group alone for you to be successful.
Well, this is the part that I agree with you, but the part that the research part that you're talking about right now, that is the hard part. It's how you make money. It's the hard part, and it's how you make money. But the thing is, like, if I gave Sally, because Sally gave us that awesome walkthrough of all the different things that she sells, but if we gave Sally, we shipped a pallet to her that was all the same thing, the next day she would be successful because it's all the same thing. She would crush it so easy, right? The hard part is, where do you get that pallet of all the items that are all keepers, right? That's the research part. So the people who like shopping, I have great news. You got to shop like 10 times as much and really research, figure out if what you're buying is truly a good deal. Like, buying is not the key. Is it a good deal? Because if you can consistently find good deals that are similar things, then you can figure it out. It just can't be different. Okay, I have to back up one more space, which is, you can sell random things. It's just slower. Because in the beginning, when you're figuring out what to sell, it's perfectly fine to pick up a vacuum cleaner, shoes, shirt in the beginning, because you need to learn those lessons. That's why I don't think that you should spend your own money. If you use your own money and you buy a vacuum cleaner, you're probably going to be okay because you've done the homework. You're like, okay, I have $100 in sales. I only have $10 to go thrifting. Do I really want to buy this vacuum cleaner? Right? And if you did, you probably would put it on Facebook Marketplace. You put it on Craigslist, you put it on eBay, because it's like kind of a bulkier item. You would think, I only have $10. I need to sell this vacuum. So then you would be more resourceful. Yesterday in Text Call, he talked about a bunch of different ways to earn money. That's being resourceful, because that's being an everything seller and everything. That's an everything service person. Like a handyman is an everything person, right? Handymen do fine. They don't do as much as an electrician or a plumber or HVAC. I don't know for sure, but I would guess that if you choose one of those, you make more money than a handyman. I don't know though. That would be my guess.
You know what, Chris, and this will be my last comment, and I'll get off here. Even with the whole vacuum analogy, if you only have $10 to spend, you should do 99% of research to find that vacuum that's going to net you X.
Exactly.
That you can spend for $10.
That's why I agree with you, because when you only have $10, you pick the easiest, most profitable thing. You might pass on a vacuum. If you have extra money, then you buy the vacuum for no reason, because it's like, oh, it's a Dyson. Dyson's good, right? It's only $10. Let's get it. Throw it in the car. I got $10. If you only had $10 though, you might pass on the Dyson. You know what I mean? Like you're just going to pick something that's more of a sure thing. Plus, here's the problem. You don't know how to test the Dyson, and you don't know why. You don't know how to ship one. You don't know how the returns work. That's why it's so tempting. Really valuable item, kind of heavy. It's like reseller bait. What's up, Carl?
You made the statement that everything sellers know a lot about many things. I think of the old adage, a jack of all trades, a master of none. And we find our little niches, and we just try to keep building on that. But I would rather, like you say, I would rather have a pallet of very similar things just dumped to me if I could just do that instead of branching out. I find my biggest enemy is myself, but I'm getting better at saying no. That's what
You
I
might,
just wanted to say.
you might be the king. You might be the biggest jack.
The biggest what?
You might be the biggest jack.
I do. Unfortunately, like I said, I know a lot about a lot of things.
I think you
that I
know the
can make.
most about the most things. You know a lot.
Well, I'll tell you what, there are people that know a whole lot more. But I think, you know, the one thing we were talking after the meeting last night, and, you know, there are so many ways of making money. And it was funny, they were talking about scrapping and different things like that. And yeah, you know what? If I see a piece of metal that I know is worth something, I'm going to pick it up and throw it in my bucket that I have in my storage bin. And for another day, you know, we'll go to the scrapyard. But you just got to keep making wise decisions each day. And I think that's the hardest thing sometimes to do. And I'm always fascinated at people say, well, I just sell one thing and one thing only. I don't call myself a squirrel brain. I just like different things. I think I'd be very bored if I would just do one thing.
Yeah, maybe that's something that, like, this lady that makes vegan pork belly and vegan pork belly in a baguette and vegan pork belly in a bao, is that, like, I feel like she's still very creative. It's just one thing. So like it was like, even the way that it was set up was different. Her brick and mortar has a long line down the block. People go to the front, order something, and then they leave. It looks like a Chipotle. It's just like a strict, like, you know, system. And the Ruthie's, which is looks like an amazing restaurant. Like, I want to drive up to Portland and go try it. It's different. It's like a living room. You go there, you hang out, you really enjoy grandma's cooking. That's not efficient. You, like, when you go have dinner at grandma's, hopefully it takes all night. But that's the hard business model. That's really hard.
Yeah, but you know what? You just said something that always fascinated me about those types of businesses. There's a long line. People enjoy it. You've also said if you see a food truck with a whole bunch of people around, you want to stop. You want to see what's going on. When I did auctions back in Pennsylvania, whether I was auctioneering or going as a buyer, boy, if there were tons and tons of people around the table looking at something, I wanted to get my head in there too, see what the excitement was. Or at the flea market, if someone had tons and tons of people around. We had one guy at the flea market in Pennsylvania. He driving with a van, and he had over 150 banana boxes on, and he didn't take a single box out of the van. All the customers unloaded his van. He set a Keystone box as a cornerstone, and everyone was trained in their own way to set up his thing. It was a fascinating business model. So
the guy at my flea market has that sells Costco returns. He has a bedding section, appliance section, clothing section, grocery section, and it's the busiest. In my flea market, the Costco return guy is the busiest person. When he gets there, everyone helps him unload. They already know where everything is going. It's like your customers are helping you. That's so cool. And I think that in this lady's business, people could probably jump in and help out, but it gets too busy. Like I'll pour coffee, you make this iced tea because it's so simple. There's like not very many moving parts. But at Ruthie's, that looks like the amount of love you need to put into grandma's cooking. How could you just jump in there? You would screw it up. It's too hard. But I just think both of them are cool. So go ahead, Carl.
Vegan pork bellies, did you say?
Yeah, vegan pork belly is what she sells.
I don't think Carl's gonna be putting that in his mouth. I'll take the real thing.
Hey, you don't, maybe, I guess, I don't know. It's different. Portland has this is interesting too. Portland has the most friendly vegan restaurants in the world, apparently, but also has been nicknamed Porkland because they love their pork so much. Like it has both like a strong vegan community and a really strong pork following. So it's pretty interesting. So Alex is talking about or asking in the chat about Costco returns. I think Costco returns are like you can buy them by the pallet at around 80% off, but you have to buy all the junk. So like sometimes I'll walk by there and the thing that everybody wants is the Pendleton blankets. Those sell pretty well, like $80 on Poshmark. So like everybody wants the Pendleton blankets and the Vitamix blender. That's popular. And the markdown is around 50%. So like if it's $100 at Costco, at this guy's stand, it's 50. And that helps him because he doesn't have to price anything. But some of the items can resell close to retail or over retail. That's why it's so busy. But yeah, those returns, Costco is really lenient on returns. So you can get some good stuff, some unopened stuff. You can also get some stuff that's really thrashed. So it is what it is. And if you're nice, I think they take back anything. I bought the wrong alcohol for our wedding and it says right on it, no returns for alcohol. We took it back. They took a return on the alcohol. I mean, they're not trying to prevent you from returning things. Yeah, if you get a crowd, more people will come. I just think that usually the people who have a crowd sell the same thing. The everything restaurant, there's something to that. It's very cool. Both of them are cool. I don't know. Do you guys? I think that the fact that this lady has $1 million business, single mom, used to be a hairstylist. That's awesome. She did it with no money. I think that's cool. Like, and she did it on Instagram Live. She didn't start her business until she was 40 years old. Like that's awesome. She just put up it on Insta. Like I'm almost 40. I guess Instagram is like, maybe Instagram might now be for older people. Maybe the younger people have moved on. Because when I was getting some training from TikTok from these kids, they were telling me that even TikTok's getting kind of old for them. So whatever's after TikTok is huge, but maybe Instagram is the new Facebook as it ages out. But the fact that she got on Instagram Live, never done it before, did her recipe, sold a few of them, used that money to buy more of them, and kept redoing that until she had a store. That's beautiful versus taking out $100,000 to start a restaurant. How many people take out $100,000 to start a restaurant? A lot. A ton of people do that. Every franchise is that. I think franchises, I don't even know if you can get a franchise under 100,000, like a decent one. And you don't know if it's going to work. Paul, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Chris? I want to ask you a quick question. When you used to go to the Goodwill, I used to watch you on YouTube and I see like your buy cost was like $6.99 for like a shirt. It was pretty high. How did you make a profit like out of that by high buy cost?
High sale price.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
Okay. Because
it doesn't matter what I pay for the item.
Oh, repeat that, please.
It doesn't matter what I pay for the item.
Okay. Because why I say that, because I'm picking up some stuff at the thrift here and most of them is high, but like sometimes when I put it up, I will like sell probably like one out of it. So I was wondering, like, okay, I used to see Chris do this thing. How did he do it? Because I will see the buy cost,
Yep.
like the sell through
That's
rate.
because you don't see the sale price. I don't care what the buy cost is. It just depends on what it sells for. Would you pay $6.99 for something that sells for 100?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. I look at the difference between the two of it. Would you pay $1 for something that sells for $2?
For $2?
Yeah. No, you
No,
wouldn't.
that's tight.
Hopefully not. You were
No,
thinking a
that's
little
not-
bit too long on that,
No.
Paul. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, because but it's $1.
Jesus.
What if it was 10 cents? Would you buy it if it sold for $2?
If it was 10 cents and it sold for $2, if I'm gonna make a profit.
No, that's the wrong answer. You wouldn't make a profit. That's too low.
No.
Because, okay, this is why. And this is how I can tell you didn't do the math. You have to pay for shipping. So if it was $1 or 10 cents buy cost and then $2 plus shipping, you pay fees on the shipping.
Yes.
So that wouldn't work. That's not profitable. Even if you get it for free and you sell it for $2 plus shipping, it's not worth it.
Hey, you can sell it for $2 in person and make money, Chris.
That's true. But okay, let me tell you something. 1-800-GOT-JUNK, right?
Yeah.
They get paid to take your stuff. And they don't resell most of it. It's like me telling Juanita, I'm going to give you $5 to sell this item, and she just throws it in the trash. That's what 1-800-JUNK does. It's not worth their time. They don't sell the junk. They get all of the things. No one gets more things than 1-800-GOT-JUNK. They take everything. They take everything goes into the truck. They only sell 1% of it. I don't even think they resell any of it. They have maybe a vendor that buys some stuff that could be salvageable. Okay. Somebody said that restaurants go out of business because of COVID. I'll give you guys this example. I can't remember the name of the restaurant in, I think it was Alinea in Chicago. This restaurant's fine dining. Okay. So the CEO says to the CEO says to the restaurateur, the lead guy, it's not like they can close all 10 of our restaurants at the same time, right? Is this COVID thing a big deal? I don't know. Can they really close all of our restaurants at the same time? And he's like, I don't think so. They close all the restaurants at the same time. Okay, all 8 restaurants, all fine dining. Okay, think about this. Fine dining, 0% of fine dining is open, right? That's like the worst thing for COVID. So you know what they all did? They switched to beef Wellington to go. Okay, so they're like, okay, you know what? We have these restaurants. Let's just turn them into assembly lines. They were making $20,000 a day profit during COVID as a restaurant. Okay, they switched gears. The guy said, you know what? I don't want to fire anybody. We have 200 employees that work at 8 restaurants. I don't want to be that guy. How do we not close? We have all this space. Let's be resourceful. I don't want to cut anybody's pay. I don't want to fire anybody. What do? Everyone said, we are now takeout. No more fine dining. Beef Wellington. It was like, what do we need to sell right now? It was like comfort food. So they turned from like serving $500 fancy dinners to beef Wellington and macaroni and cheese. And they killed it. They switched gears. Like not all restaurants went out of business. Tons of new restaurants opened during COVID. The traditional restaurants died. So I just think that it's amazing looking at that. Can you imagine beef Wellington to go? Like you wanted to eat at this fine dining restaurant, you could never afford it. Now they have a more affordable option. And they did this right in the beginning. I saw this. It was like April. So we shut down in March. In April, they were like, drive to our restaurant, open the trunk. We'll put it in the trunk for you. You don't even have to make contact with us. We'll come out in a mask, put it in your trunk for you. When you go home, this was like before they knew plastic bags were safe or something. So you take it out of the bag, throw the bag away outside, disinfect what you can, eat your food. Like that, when you have 200 employees, do you really want to lay them all off? Like that person completely switched gears and didn't lay off anybody. That's like amazing. So you can definitely just have to think about it. And I'm just thinking to myself, all these people in fine dining restaurants where like they used to dress up in suits and now they're in their sweatpants. Like this transition is so cool. And the head chef also said, you know what? I normally make a 6-figure income. I'm going back to make the same as everybody else. We're switching to assembly line restaurant now, volume. So that's like, I think it's Alinea that switched to doing that. And that guy is like, I don't know. I just think it's so cool. And then when it reopened, they went back to fine dining. Oh yeah. So Alex says no one owes an employee a living. That's true, but that's not how people who are successful treat employees. They sort of like, I don't know. I did an exit interview with one of my workers left, and she said she had never had an employer that went to the efforts that I did to try to make her environment good. I thought about how to make her life easier every day. So, I mean, you don't owe your employees that, but you owe yourself that, and they work for you. Eric, what's up?
I just wanted to ask this. I'm not sure if anybody asked. I did come in a couple minutes late, but I know Tech mentioned to ask you for a small space. I know the answer, but just for other people, for a small space, say under what you had or what you currently have, that storage unit, smaller than that.
It was
What would you
350
recommend?
square feet.
There you go. So what would you recommend for individuals that have a space that size or smaller and they're looking to run an eBay business?
Okay. So yesterday when I was reading that article on sell-through rate, the person who wrote the article was Shopify. And they had this question: what do I do with a limited amount of space? This is a great question. So the Shopify answer was increase sell-through rate with 2 methods. Okay, so both methods to deal with the small space are free. This is so cool. Okay, so essentially to make sell-through rate go up, there's 2 things that have to happen. You have to sell things faster, right? So they gave five ways to do that, which is what we talk about in the group. You can mark items down. You can do promotions, which on eBay is promoted listings. You can offer bundles, so offer a combined shipping discount so people can buy more than one item. You can, let's see, can't remember the other 2 off the top of my head, but make things sell faster was one, which is free. The second part was lower the number of items in your store. So the sell-through rate has to go up, and 2 things make the sell-through rate go up: less inventory and more sales. Those are the 2 things. So what most people do when they have limited amount of space or their sales are slow is they buy more items. So it's actually the opposite. Dealing with less money or less space, you need a smaller inventory that moves quicker, and that is usually cheaper. So it's like Trader Joe's, I don't know if you guys have this, or Aldi. Those grocery stores make the most money per square foot, and they have less options. There's only one ketchup. There's only one eggs, or I mean, less options than a grocery store, which might have 60 different options of every single thing. So you want to go smaller, and you want to sell things faster with a small space. I'm going to be probably, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
I was just saying that I am making that video today. How to increase. Okay, first off, I didn't define sell-through rate very well, because sell-through rate in business is usually annual. It's just weird on eBay because of our app. Everyone uses 90 days, but 90 days is not really realistic. The average person needs 20 months to sell their item because they're just selling common items. So if I were to tell Devin, you're not bad at selling clothing, it just takes 20 months to sell an average piece of clothing, he might be like, oh, you know what? Maybe I don't want to sell average clothing because 20 months is too long. Right? That would be the conclusion, but go ahead.
So my only other following question, and I agree with everything you just mentioned, would be, I think some people get confused in the group because we throw consistency around a lot. What are you saying to the business owner that has, example, 1,000 items in their store right now, and they're looking to increase their sell through, everything we just spoke about, and they need to stop shopping. How do they go from not shopping, staying consistent, and listing items? Before you answer, and I'd hate to put words into, I believe it was Michelle. I think it was her. She said that what she did, I think for a few years, was delist and relist her items, but make changes from them. So what would be your take for those individuals right now listening that are having that issue?
Okay, so I think this is good, and I'll probably make another video on this, which is everybody needs a mission. So most people's mission is, I've got to go out and buy good inventory to put back into my store to supercharge it up, right? But we need to change your mission. I know how to do it. And this is a great thing that Eric brought it up, which is, okay, you can't use any money. So let's just set that rule for yourself for a moment. The second rule is, by the end of the month, you have to have the space that you're currently in. So if you're using a 2-car garage, by the end of the month, you can only use a 1-car garage. Your wife or husband says they want to park on the other side of it, even if that's not true. If you condense the resources, people change their thinking. This month you can't use money. This month you need half as much space. Your thinking changes. I got to get rid of half the inventory I have so that I can make space, right? That mentality, or I don't have any money, I've got to make do with what I have. I think, I realize this now because Tech said this on a podcast. I don't respect money enough. I really, really, really need to respect money. When you respect money and you have to make a dollar stretch, like you only have $5 and you've got to get through Sunday and it's Wednesday, and you stretch that dollar. I've never had to do that, honestly. Never had to stretch $5 into multiple days where Tech said he used to go to and he could only buy chips or a drink. He couldn't buy chips and a drink. I've never had that. So I don't know how to stretch a dollar. Maybe, I've been coddled. I can always buy chips and a drink. I've never had less than $5. So that's like an interesting, being able to stretch the dollar and reduce the amount of space that you have is huge. But I can't imagine having to stretch food. It never happened to me, ever. Never thought, and I always thought, I never want to be in the position that I have to look at the price on the menu. I don't want to look, I don't care. I want to get exactly what I want. So that's motivating to me. Like I remember somebody saying that, go ahead.
You need to try it. Just a challenge, try it, understand what other people go through.
That's right.
You will appreciate it a lot more.
When I saw, because Beat the Bush was going over how when he was doing the FIRE independent, or when he was trying to retire early, he stretched it to, he averaged $3 a day on food, right? And he's like, I can go lower, but this is just a sustainable amount for me, $3 per day. And most people would say, how can you live on your own, eat healthy? Because he had 3 square meals a day, veggie, protein, rice, every meal, still only less than $1 per meal, seasoning. He made all those meals taste good, under $3 a day, $90 a month. That's like whatever, $1,000 a year. But most people are spending more than he spends per year, per month eating out. The stretching is amazing. And the main thing that causes that price to go so down, because he's like, anybody can eat under $1 a meal with no meat. That's like, it's easier to be vegetarian, but he doesn't do that. So he buys like whole animals, chops them all up, stretches it out. But I'm saying, like, that's being creative. How much money does it cost to flush a toilet? He knows all these, he's figured out the math and all these things. And that's being super duper duper resourceful. That's how you save $1 million by age 30, is like just thinking about how to do things. So yeah, it's stretching $1, I think, is something I've thought about it mechanically, but never done it. Like saying, okay, you know what? We don't have enough money till next week. How do we make this work? And then maybe one day it doesn't work, and that day you can't eat. Then what? You probably don't forget that. Like Dwayne Wade was saying, Dwayne Wade's in the NBA and doesn't have any tattoos. I heard him say one time, like, maybe this doesn't last forever and I have to go back and get a job. And I don't want to do that again. And like, I've been broke and I don't want to get any tattoos because it'd make it harder for me to get a job. And people are like, bro, you're like multi-millionaire. And he's like, I just can't forget that time when I had nothing. I don't want, like, it's just, can you believe an NBA player saying, I don't want to get a tattoo because I might have to get a job one day? Like, what? But he remembers stretching a dollar. I'm telling you, it's different. That's why on Shark Tank, some of the people won't invest if you're not broke. Like Coffee Meets Bagel, that dating site, Mark Cuban was like, he couldn't believe that their salaries were $100K. And they're like, well, we got to live. And he's like, you don't need $100,000 to live. You don't need $100,000 to live. I have such a problem with you guys starting this company. But yeah, it was interesting looking at the, yeah, I gotta think about how to stretch. Yeah, he's been super duper broke before, but it's interesting looking at the, because you could be in a bad area. I don't know. It's just whatever your circumstances are. You could have been in a bad area, bad neighborhood, and still never learn to stretch a dollar. Right? There's just some people that are in a different circumstance where they really know broke. Paul, what's up?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I've been homeless 3 times, and now I make 6 figures in an outside job, a regular job. And something you said a long time ago actually really struck me, because I've been doing eBay since the 90s, just casually, whatever. But in one of your podcasts or one of your YouTube things, you said that somebody came to you one day and bragged about how they'd been doing eBay for 10 years. And you're like, man, that's not a flex, dude. Like the fact that you're not doing well and you've been doing it for 10 years is not a flex. And so I started getting really serious about it, and actually trying to, do it. And one of the things that I found is the fact that I was very comfortable in my life, with what I was making, made it was a real hindrance to doing well with the business, because there was not that fire there. There was not that, as much motivation as there should be, and so it was really something that I had to kind of struggle with, making sure that, because the way that I'm looking at it is, in my career, I'm getting to the age where like you can't get another job, if something happens. And so like, this is what I want to do, but anyways, I just, that kind of really struck me.
Yeah, I think of the years of experience versus like 1 year of experience repeated 10 times versus 10 years experience in the same thing. There's so many people who know a lot about everything, and even they got to give themselves credit. Some people do really know a lot about it. Like they can make a lot of things profitable. It's just so difficult starting over. And when half of your items don't sell and your cost of goods doubled, you're out of business. That's really why do most resellers fail? Their cost of goods is too high. That's what I think. And Cheryl says, I don't think someone that has money can legitimately run an experiment and know what it's like to be poor. It's very difficult. I think the only thing that would be similar is, I don't know what it's, but here's the thing. Making rich people feel poor is huge business. Like all those retreats to areas that are poor that they have for rich people, it's like $60,000. Go to this area and learn what it's like to be poor. They'll pay it because they want that experience. But is it really the same as like your single parent? This lady, single mom, started her pork belly business as a hairstylist. Hairstylists probably don't make a lot of money. So single parent hairstylist, probably because of the flexible hours, right? How do you recreate that? and her not like, doing that business with no money. Linda says you can't have a safety net. Yeah, I guess that's true. I just think that lady is so cool. That concept. I also think the person that makes his grandma's recipes is cool. It's just different. And he is so busy. So I'm hoping that it works out. I just think that the overhead is hard. At least he's making food that's incredible and lots of people will come to eat it. I just hope that there's enough room at the end of the day for the food waste of carrying that heavy of a menu. Maybe Cheesecake Factory's secret is they have a way to deal with the food. Because obviously, if you're an everything restaurant and everybody goes there and they like it, okay, but then what about all that food that doesn't sell? You have pork chops and eggs, but you haven't sold any for 2 weeks. What happens to that food? Wait, Cheryl says, I haven't seen Trading Places in a long time. .com changed the perspective of building business, certainly. Yeah, I just think that, how do you recreate being poor? How do you recreate manual labor? Because when I was doing the digging the tree out of the yard, I was like, man, tech says 6 days of tree crew. I was only doing tree crew for 2 hours and it was horrible. But see, this is where actually having good tools would matter, because I had a really dull shovel. Really hard to dig a hole with a really dull shovel. Max, what's up?
How you doing? So let me mute this for a second. So I used to run a restaurant, and it's funny how you're talking about what the people do with the food to stay profitable, because it's exactly the same thing you're saying with the eBay plan. To bring our food costs down, we basically had to order food according to how we were selling it. So you make a plan on how much you're selling through the day, how much of each item you're selling, and you break it down, and then you go back and you reverse engineer it into how much you're ordering through the week, depending on how many orders you get. So,
well, let me ask you, Max. What if?
Starting out there from the beginning, from the bottom, and understanding how it works is really what builds, let's say, all businesses.
Well, Max, what about what people want to buy at your restaurant versus what you want to cook?
Sorry, say that again?
What about the items that you want to cook in your restaurant versus what people are buying?
But you can't do that. You got to go buy. Like, same thing with selling.
That's what I'm saying.
So yeah,
like you want to run a profitable restaurant, or you want to make what you want to make.
Are you saying like Rosie's place?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, there's a restaurateur guy that I was listening to, and he said if you put a burger on the menu, it'll be the top selling item, right? But a lot of people don't put a burger on the menu.
Yeah, I'll try to get extra fancy with it.
Oh yeah, and if it's $28, maybe people won't buy it, but if it's a reasonable price burger, it'll be the most popular item on the menu. And I find that, like, but if you knew that, and you would know that if you had an everything restaurant which served everything, I bet you chicken fingers, cheeseburger, those would be really high, man. Those would be top 10, guaranteed almost. Any restaurant. Mac and cheese definitely would be in the top 5 sides, probably. So what if you had a restaurant that had an amazing burger, amazing chicken tenders, mac and cheese? I think that's good enough. People would come. If you just had those 3 items on the menu, I think you'd be good. So
yeah, it seems like most of the restaurants popping up now, that's what they're doing. 5 or 6, they're staying really small footprints, 5 or 6 items that they're doing really good, and those seem to be what's doing the best.
Juanita is right. It is a kids menu, but that's what KFC did that with the those bowls that you mix everything together. That's a kid's item. Like we used to all do that as kids. Now it's on the menu. No, it doesn't have to be amazing, but like you can do a pretty good job with chicken fingers, chicken tenders, and a burger and mac and cheese. Like you could even store buy all that stuff and it would still sell. What will make a restaurant different if they all sell the same thing? You don't have to be different. I just think it's funny. Max was saying that you order based on what people buy. Right. And I can tell you right now, I know what people buy at Ruthie's in Portland. It's the rolls that his grandma used to make. They look insane. Let me see if I can find it. Ruthie's, let me see if I can find it. Okay, here we go. Okay, you guys ready? Look at this crazy menu, all this amazing stuff. The thing I think sets them apart are these rolls. People love those rolls. This is in the LA Times. Let's go. So that's yeah. It's time to read her book. But I think if they focused on the rolls, they would become really profitable and he wouldn't be broke. I think he's broke because it's really hard to make these 7 plates of food. Really hard. That looks insane. All right, guys. Everyone have an awesome day. See you guys tomorrow. If I gave you $1,000, please just put it in your savings account.